Hello everyone, I'm Ryan and this is Ryan Recommends. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe, please hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon so you can stay current whenever I post a new video. Today we're going to be taking a look at these unique little controllers for the Nintendo 64 from Hori. If you can already tell, they're a little different. So we're going to go over what some of the differences are, my thoughts on them, and why I was able to just sell one for $100 on eBay. Alright, let's go. These Hori controllers came out around 2011. And to put that in perspective, the GameCube came out in 2001. So when these were actually coming out, a lot of people have moved on to the GameCube or other consoles. So that's why this controller was overlooked quite a bit back then, even though it was such a sweet little design, is that most people had moved on to the GameCube and were using the GameCube controller and playing those games and weren't revisiting the N64 at that time. Just like a lot of people right now aren't playing a lot of PS3 games, they're playing PS4. So the timing of it all is why this thing was kind of a lost treasure, but now people are fighting over them. The GameCube style thumbstick on these are so buttery smooth, and you almost have to have it in your hand to fully appreciate it, but it's so smooth, and there's really not, for an older controller, there's not too much dead space in the center there, but it just feels so good. It's like the resistance and tension is just right. They really nailed this thumbstick for sure. And a lot of people didn't know about them back then, but those that are rediscovering their Nintendo 64 want them, and they are in high demand. And they're fetching a pretty penny. So real quick, a comparison between the original design here. I've got an atomic purple one. As far as the size goes, it's about the third of the size, and it's not quite as long. And obviously the D-pad layout is the biggest change. So they've maintained the same action buttons and C buttons. They've actually added some extra shoulder buttons. You still have that down there, but see, you don't have the trigger. So that's where the extra shoulder buttons come in, is they've moved the Z up here to the shoulder. See if I can get that to zoom in. So you got R and the Z there, and then L or Z there. And then obviously the D-pad has been moved to the center versus off to the left. So the original design, if you were playing a game with the D-pad, you held it like this, you could hold that, but then you didn't have access to the Z trigger really. And then you could reach start. Or you moved your center to the center here with the thumbstick, and then you could use the Z trigger down below and then the R button. But what this Hori controller has done is moved it to the center, and it's a much smaller controller. You can actually touch your fingers, at least I can, across the top of it. It's a good feeling controller. Everything's very tight and compact. In fact, it's a weird feeling to have your thumbs be able to touch each other. It's so close together. But it's a more natural position, and the C-stick's really smooth on these. Like I said, these action buttons, the A and the B and the C buttons, feel almost identical. The start button's a little bit more of a rubbery button versus the hard plastic of the original. But the big thing here is the D-pad. I could actually control with the D-pad with my right thumb or my left thumb, which is crazy. Because usually on most controllers it's, you know, somewhere around here for your left hand. But to have your right hand be able to do that is kind of different. And of course, like I said, if you need to hit the Z trigger, it's right up there with the L and the R button. So amazing little controller, extremely high quality. Same plug design here. These are the two colors that I have, or had. I just sold this ocean blue one on eBay for $100 plus some shipping, and I only had it listed on there for maybe a few days. I'm suspecting this watermelon one is going to probably sell pretty quickly. They have some that are like tributes, there they call them, or like reproduction of these. So you can buy a cheaper, newer one but it's not the same as these originals. And these are the why they're pulling in such big money on eBay or even Amazon if you can find them. And I'll leave the links down below on how to find these if you guys want to check them out. But if you can find one in good condition like these, you got to snag them. So without a doubt, if you're playing a game that requires the joystick instead of the D-pad, this would be the preferred choice over even probably the original controller. Much smoother design. It's almost more like the GameCube, to be honest with you, is what that reminds me of. If it's a D-pad heavy game, you know, I don't know if I would say it's superior to the original design. I would probably go with the little larger D-pad. If you notice, it's much larger. Has more of the traditional Nintendo feel. So if it was an exclusively D-pad style game, or you just preferred that, like a fighting game or something, that might be better. But if you're definitely wanting the C-stick, then, or excuse me, the joystick, this would be the way to go. So awesome little controller, guys. Highly recommend these. If you can get your hands on them for the cheap, get them, but plan to pay somewhere around that $100 mark, especially for ones that are in mint condition like these. So 100% compatible, even though they're imports, 100% compatible with your US Nintendo 64. No modifications required, just plug and play. So there you go, guys. There's the Nintendo 64 controller from Hori, worth $100. Good luck finding one. Alright guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one, and don't forget to subscribe. Later.